Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com, we breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with your week one Thursday night football preview. That is right, folks. Real football is going to be on our TVs in just a matter of an hour and a half. I cannot wait. You, I'm sure, cannot wait, especially when we've got such a banger of a game. The Ravens going into Kansas City. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about this one. I cannot wait to answer all of your questions. Get them on in, Wolfpack, because that is the lifeblood of this show, is your sit-start questions. We're going to preview the game. My man, the truth, has joined me. I am so stoked. We're going to preview the game. 5 burning questions that you must monitor from this one. There's so much to dig into. We tried to boil it down to 5 burning questions that you can look out for. And then the rest of the time, some of the feedback last year was just get to the questions. The rest of the time will be for your questions. My man, we're decked out in the right gear. Huge game tonight. Truth, how we doing?
I'm doing good. This kind of snuck up on me. I mean, could not be more pumped for this game. I'm super, super excited. I feel like we've always been super excited leading into the Thursday night game. Sometimes they've really come through. Sometimes they've really let us down. I actually have high hopes for this one. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great game. There's a lot of guys in it I want to see. For fantasy purposes, you can't ask for anything more than that. Let's go.
No, we might be getting an AFC Championship preview tonight to start the season. Wouldn't shock me at all. In fact, probably the favorites to be AFC champion contenders here. I say we just dive right into our preview and pick our favorites. But again, guys, your questions are the lifeblood of the show. Whether you're on Twitter, YouTube, get those on in. And of course, any thumbs up, likes, shares, retweets, all that good stuff to get us out to more people would be greatly appreciated. We've had Thursday nights where we get 200, 300 questions. We'd love to see that going. So please do get those questions on in. Give us some discussion. We will go all the way to kickoff if that's what it takes to get your questions answered. But let's dive into this game so far while the mailbag builds, while the audience builds here, and talk about it. Ravens are 3-point dogs on the road in Kansas City to the Chiefs. The over-under is 47 points, Truth. How are we feeling? Which way are you going with this one?
Well, I mean, we're both kind of over horse.
Yes.
We love to see the points. This kind of seems like an under to me. But I do like the Chiefs at home. It's very, very difficult for me to pick against those guys. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking something like a 24-20 Chiefs win. That's where I'm leaning right now. How about you?
I'm leaning. So you're going under Chiefs there, 24-20, huh? Under Chiefs. Whew. I'm going the complete opposite. I'm going over Ravens over here.
One of us will be right.
Take the points with +3 or go for the money line. I think we're going to see a different beast this year with Derrick Henry. We'll talk about that when we get to our burning storylines, the must-watch 5 stories of this game. But I just think they're going to come here to send a message. I know both these teams, well above 500 against the spread. Actually, the top 2 teams in the AFC last year against the spread, 12-7 for the Ravens, 13-5 for the Chiefs. So we got 2 teams that always seem to show up. I do think the Ravens ultimately, at minimum, get it with the points, but I think they just go in and outright win it, which is kind of wild for a banner for the raising ceremony tonight. Mahomes at home, Andy Reid, like in the first game of the season, he almost never loses. So I know I'm probably going well against the consensus. I know the line has continued to move up. Suggesting that the Chiefs are getting hit by the Sharks over here. I still feel like it's just Derrick Henry night tonight, though. So we shall see. I think it starts with a big Henry touchdown, and then the Chiefs are playing catch-up mode. We're going to see a new explosive passing attack. Not that it's new to see Pat Mahomes with an explosive passing attack, but compared to last year, we're going to get a high-flying Chiefs team. We shall see. But I'm going points over, and I'm going Ravens. With the points, or if you want to go money line even, I think they outright win this thing tonight.
I mean, for whatever it's worth, I hope you're right. I would rather watch that game than the one that I'm envisioning. I mean, I love Derrick Henry. I'm a disciple of the guy. Anytime I've had a piece of Derrick Henry on a fantasy team, feels so good getting up on Sunday morning when you got Derrick Henry. You're just like you just got him getting off your team bus, knowing his presence in the locker room. You just feel so good about yourself. So I would love it if he blew up and we saw a shootout or just tons of Ravens points. It's just the Chiefs just seem like they always have an answer, don't they?
They do, and that does worry me for going against him. But you're absolutely right with that locker room presence comment. Like he's the first guy you send off your bus. You're pulling in against your fantasy opponent. You send Derrick Henry, especially Ravens black and purple. I mean, that thing comes off the bus. I know he's turning 30, might even be 30 at this point. I know he's got over 2,000 career touches. Don't care. This guy's a freight train. That is how you lead off. So yeah, I can't wait to see how he performs. We're going to get a little more detail into that. But just a couple quick news and notes here. And I think I just shared the document, my fault, with your truth. But you can probably see some of the banners here. I could, but my bad getting on the delay here. So I'll take over a little hosting responsibilities, I guess.
It's all right. It's all right.
But Marquise Brown.
I'll cut up.
Yeah, of course you will. You always do. Hollywood Brown is already ruled out. The early rumblings are he's eyeing a week 2 return against the Chiefs. What a schedule to open the year. Bengals in week 2 for the Chiefs as well. There is a world that the Chiefs start 0-2. There's also a world they go 2-0, split these things. Very exciting start of the season for them. No Hollywood Brown, though, and we're going to bring up the title guy of this stream here, Xavier Worthy. I'm really going to dive into his projection for this game and the season long in just a little bit, but this obviously opens the path up for much more playing time for him. Rashee Rice already was a must start no matter what in this game, but ultimately this, I think, paves the path for Xavier Worthy. For those of you asking questions about him, again, I'm going to definitely dive in deeper, but my immediate response is play him. I'm already 7 spots above the ECR, and I'm right in my top 30 wide receivers right now. The more I look at it, the more I want to bump him up, and we're going to dive into the reasons why. Do you end up with Worthy in any leagues here, Truth?
No, I was late to the party on Worthy, but I see the appeal in him now, definitely. I mean, and Hollywood, you know, he's had an up and down career. There have been times where he's been just incredible, and there's been times he's been a real letdown. But the talent is absolutely there, and I just kind of am a big believer. And you put any halfway competent guy, and Hollywood is better than that,
yes,
on a Pat Mahomes team, and there's just undeniable upside. But no, I didn't get any Xavier Worthy. I do think that Marquise Brown being out is significant, but it seems like they got guys that can maybe just fill that role right in.
Yeah, 110%. And I think it's a great point, too. Like, when Brown returns, it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out, what the passing distribution is. I think it was a phenomenal pick in fantasy, though. He was starting to fall to the 120s because people worried about, week 1, it sucks. You don't have your guy, but 120 for an explosive weapon with Pat Mahomes that you can, in many leagues, just slap into your IR spot. And then in week 2, let's see what happens. I'm still very excited because this does give us a good glimpse as to what Xavier Worthy could do without him on the field. But it is going to be a different ball game next week when Brown returns, depending on, again, how big this Worthy splash is tonight, if at all. The only other news and nugget here, because we're only previewing tonight's game, we're not going to go into all the week 1 stuff. I've got that for you at Sunday, 8 a.m. Make sure to join us for that stream if you want all those questions answered. We're only focusing on tonight's game, though, and there's not much left other than the fact that Samaje Perine expected to be active, just signed a couple weeks ago. I think people are really overlooking this, and what we like to cover on this Thursday night show early on here is what could you move? What move could you make with your roster right ahead of the game, especially on the leagues in Yahoo, that's where I mostly play, that allow roster churn, meaning that you could cut a guy that's already played from your bench. Is there anyone you can watch as a quote-unquote, I like to call them the tryouts, a fantasy tryout tonight? Yeah. Samaje Perine is the perfect example of that. One, if anything happened to Pacheco next week, everybody would be bidding, I'd say 100% of your fab on a guy like Samaje Perine. But even otherwise, I think he's going to – they've already talked about Andy Reid. Why did you sign this guy? Immediately brings up Jerick McKinnon, a role that just 2 years ago was the running back 20, 10 total touchdowns, 9 of them receiving. Samaje Perine led all running backs last year in yards per route run. He was the running back 7 in targets per route. He was a 75-plus graded pass protector in back-to-back seasons. He does exactly what they wanted Jerick McKinnon to do. And then when he had to start for the Bengals when Joe Mixon was out, this guy was a monster. He had a 30.2 day, a 19.3 day, and 21.5 point day. Those were all in the top 12 running backs, 3 straight top 12 running back weeks there. And I say that the Chiefs this year project to be an even better offense than what we saw with that Bengals team when he was killing it. So I look at this guy as one of those elusive handcuffs with benefits in probably the best offense in the league. And he's only 7% rostered right now. At minimum, like, pick him up, see what happens tonight. If nothing happens to Pacheco, you want to keep churning. Maybe you cut him for Marshawn Lloyd the next night or whatever it might be. But I think this guy should be 70% rostered right now, and he's at 7%. I picked him up in all my leagues before we went live. I just kind of scanned through, drop your kicker for him, and then see what happens, and pick up a kicker on Sunday if you really need to. I don't know if you have him, Truth, but if you need to take a second and pause and go get yourself a little Samaje Perine, I would absolutely endorse it and say go for it.
I don't need to pause. I got an iPad right here, right next to me. I can make things happen, and maybe I'll check that out. I mean, I got a kicker. I got a defense that I don't really care about at all. Why not just drop him? That's not a bad idea. Perine is another guy who's been really up and down, and I don't know how I feel about him exactly. You put him in the McKinnon role. He seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm giving McKinnon too much credit because we've loved him for such a long time. We've had a love-hate relationship with Jerick McKinnon, that's for sure. But Samaje Perine, yeah, you're right. If anything happens to Pacheco, all of a sudden this guy becomes maybe like arguably an RB1. If 7% of people in the leagues have him, you should probably take a gamble.
Yeah, a lot of people bringing up like Carson Steele, and he had some really impressive preseason runs against
Carson Steele. Yeah,
accountants.
Love Carson Steele.
So I did like what I saw. We talked about Carson Steele, like the picture of an adult film, but possibly the amount of titles you could come up with for this guy are astronomical. But I don't know that that's yielding you any fantasy points. I do think he's a kind of a glorified fullback, and this is the fullback dive. We love fullbacks, but not necessarily for fantasy value. Sure, he'll get a couple weird scheme things, and I actually like Samaje Perine for a plus 500 anytime touchdown tonight. Isaiah Likely plus 500 anytime touchdown. Carson Steele also plus 500. Those are all interesting gambles tonight to toss in a little sprinkle and see what happens. Perine would be my favorite, though, in that, again, McKinnon role. How many times did we see him just plow in? I do think Perine would be the featured back, not Carson Steele. But even Carson Steele is worth a really deep league stash right now to, again, see what happens. Those are the only two news and notes I have. We already have about 15 questions in the mailbag. You love to see it. Keep building that up. It does not have to be just tonight's questions. I know Worthy, Zay Flowers, a couple guys I was getting asked a ton on Twitter. Of course, tonight's questions matter the most. If you have a question that you really want to bump up to even in the middle of these type of storylines, the Super Chat is a way to support your boys and jump right ahead to the front of the line. We should easily get to every single question tonight. Yeah. But just in case you got to get in and out and want to bump it up, any type of Super Chat, we do jump to the front of the line, and we would greatly appreciate any support. But again, over 300 with us right now. You love to see it this early.
We're an hour here.
Let's get it to 400. Let's go, Truth. Let's go. Everybody's excited for this week one matchup. Let's go, right?
Always a big one. I got the agenda now, so I can start rattling off the burning questions in a second. But just before we do, I got to say, with all your talk about Perine and all that, I have Pacheco on my team, and everything you're saying is making me miserable. You're just like, oh, yeah, he's going to dive in. Carson Steele's going to steal a touchdown, all this stuff. It's like, why did I spend $40 on this guy in the auction?
Well, we're gonna break him down into burning questions soon. I think you are more than okay with Pacheco. I don't actually worry. Those are more Hail Mary bets. I also like Pacheco for 2 touchdowns tonight instead of if you want a really big Hail Mary. Like I love Pacheco still tonight. So don't worry. We're gonna get to him in a second. Do not be too afraid. But Perine should make you. I probably wouldn't have spent up. 40 is still fair for him in an auction, I would say.
It might have been like 38. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, Perine does knock a little bit off, in my opinion. Although, again, we're going to break him down in just a second. So we'll deep dive into Pacheco, and he's certainly a must start tonight, no matter what.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, 5 burning questions. Let's get into it. And the first one, we talked about it before. I didn't have the courage of my convictions to say that this was going to be a shootout, but this is the question we pose. Are we back to the bombs away shootout style Chiefs? I mean, a la, are you talking like the Tyreek Hill Chiefs, basically? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's been a couple of years, and certainly last year, lowest ADOT of Pat Mahomes' career, 6.8 average depth of target, was brutal. In their games, they actually were 28th in combined total points. They were bottom 15 in points themselves, and it just was not – obviously, it was a winning formula for last year's squad when they ended up going to the Super Bowl, but it's not the Pat Mahomes. It wasn't that feel. And there were so many years. We look back at Pat Mahomes' history here where he has been a top 5 quarterback in 5 of 6 years here. And that's not what we got They still, even last year, ranked first in pass rate over expectation. It was just a matter of the big play was completely taken out because they had no big play weapons. If you look at the cast he was throwing to, Sky Moore could do nothing. Justin Watson was like the most reliable guy they had. Nicole Hardman, it was just an embarrassing weapons cabinet. It's just crazy that they won the Super Bowl with what they had here. But you see what they do this offseason. Bring in Xavier Worthy, 4.21, fastest 40 time in NFL history. Marquise Brown, I know he's not playing tonight, but it does suggest what they want to do. Another burner right there. And all the reports in all of training camp, they are lights out, bombs down the field every single day. There's a humongous emphasis on the deep ball. And we saw that in the limited preseason snaps, a bunch of deep touchdowns coming out of there. So again, I think this is going to be when you lose L'Jarius Sneed as well on defense and just some overall playmakers. I could see this defense taking a little bit of step back, the offense hitting the gas pedal just a little bit more, pushing the ball more downfield. I think Pat Mahomes is going to go for 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns, which isn't even that bold considering he just did it 2 seasons ago. But a lot of people seem to be forgetting that. I think he's going to go down as one of the biggest values, and one of the biggest storylines of the year will be Pat Mahomes is back, wins the MVP, and wins his 3rd Super Bowl in a row type of situation here.
I got to say, we talked about talked about how abysmal a bunch of the offense was. And you did get around to mentioning this. I mean, first of all, these guys won the Super Bowl. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
They did do a couple things well last year. But I do remember the point in the season where it just looked like they were hopeless. I mean, there was, halfway through the year, you could make a ton of money betting on the Chiefs, which is crazy that you can ever make any money betting on the Chiefs. The receiving group that they've put together, while not the best in the league or anything like that, seems like such a dramatic upgrade from what they rolled out for last year. I mean, I'm talking the whole year. I'm talking even what they brought into the Super Bowl that they won. And Mahomes is clearly just absolutely in his prime. I mean, this is just like he's getting better every single year. He's still young. Reed obviously knows what he's doing. Yeah, there's no reason that these guys can't put up a lot of points. And that's fun, man. That's what we want to see, right?
Exactly. With that little bit of defensive regression too, just a shootout style back and forth. And that's what I'm hoping for tonight. I think the Ravens can put their points up and Mahomes can go toe-to-toe, of course, with the best of them. I'm hoping for a big dance tonight where there's just bombs away on both sides. Question number 2. This is important for you and your squad here.
Right. Will Isaiah Pacheco's receiving role come to fruition? I'm skeptical.
Yeah. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, before Samaje Perine got here, I would have said there's no way it doesn't. All training camp, the first thing Andy Reid said was, who's going to take over the Jerick McKinnon role? We had Andy Reid immediately come out and say, it's Pacheco. He can do all that. He's good with protection. He's good with technique, the fundamentals. He can run all the routes. He's got great hands. He can do that. And immediately I was thinking back to all the times. It's been a little while. Clyde Edwards-Helaire certainly ruined everyone's perception of the fact that Andy Reid's bell cows was Brian Westbrook, of course, Jamal Charles. We would have just a guaranteed fantasy monster, whoever that number 1 running back was. And it seemed like Pacheco was lining up for that. In the games without Jerick McKinnon last year, 22.3 fantasy points per game, a 15% target share.
Wow.
His full season pace was 353 opportunities with 89 targets and 81 catches, 1,712 yards, and 21 touchdowns for 379 fantasy points, which would have made him just below Christian McCaffrey last year as the clear running back 2. Of course, you can't just take a sample size. It was 5 games, though, a pretty decent sample size.
That's like a third of a season. That's not.
It wasn't just like 1 game and now we're projecting it. It was a good amount of time, and he was consistently above 70% of snaps, 60% of the routes in those games. He was behind only Kyron Williams in weighted opportunities after week 10. He showed that he could do this role for sure. My issue is they bring in Perine, who we already talked about, plus 75 PFF pass blocking grade, most yards per route run in the league last year among running backs. And it's not that Pacheco can't do it. In fact, he talked about all offseason like he wanted to become a weapon. He said he eyed Christian McCaffrey's contract. Why did he get so much money? Because he can do it all in every single facet of the game. And then Pat Mahomes even said of him, he's actually running routes. He's running these types of routes, deep routes, short routes that a wide receiver does. He's done a great job running the football. Now he can be a receiver type player. It's going to help him being even better. So great praise from Mahomes too. Like there is a chance that, it's just Samaje Perine. He's not even close to this explosive guy as Pacheco can be. So maybe we do see that. But my worry is kind of like what we saw with Travis Kelce last year. if they don't have to run him into the ground right now in the regular season, you've got a guy like Samaje Perine that can take those blitzing linebackers and stonewall them. Why keep him out there when you really want to keep him fresh for your playoff run? It might be galaxy braining it, but I do think Perine is going to play a role. It's going to eat into the receiving role just a little bit, but I also think it's not just going to be like, oh, no, you cross out all that offseason work, no receiving work for Pacheco. I think we're going to get some designed first down screen, second round wheel routes. You see these clips of him going bananas in training camp with some insane highlight reel grabs. I don't think that's going to go just completely out of there. So maybe the ceiling was limited just a little bit, but I still think we're going to get a much beefier receiving workload for Pacheco than last year, even with Samaje Perine, and it's going to start tonight.
What kind of carries do you think he's going to get? What number of carries, if you had to guess, is he going to get on the ground
tonight, or is for the season?
No, tonight.
I bet you.
Yeah, I guess I know that's game flow related, but what do you think? 15, 20 carries?
I was going to say 15 and a half is where I wonder what Vegas. I didn't even check what they set it at. I'd say 15 and a half is a fair line. Of course, if they get up big, could get to 20 like we saw in that playoff run. That's what they did. But I do worry. I think the defense is going to take a step back, and it's going to be more of a receiving role for Pacheco, which is still great.
That's fine. The receiving's great. I would love it if he was doing a ton of receiving. I'll tell you, you touched on this, and then we'll move on to the third question involving another bell cow of sorts. Well, not of sorts, like King bell cow.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, why run someone into the ground early, save them for the playoffs. There is nothing more maddening as a fantasy owner than when one of the guys you spend money on gets saved for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I know these are actual human beings and stuff, but man,
run him into the ground. Come on.
No, let's go. He's young.
$60 in my auction. You should definitely be force feeding him 30 carries a week. Come on, Andy Reid.
Yeah, don't take care. Right. All right, let's go to question number 3. And I alluded to King Bell Cow, also known as King Henry. Is Derrick Henry about to score 20-plus TDs? How does he reshape this offense? I told you earlier in the pod, when I've owned Derrick Henry, you just feel like a different guy. You feel rejuvenated. You're happy. Even when he's had off seasons, he's still a badass just all the time. 20 is a lot of touchdowns, but, it doesn't seem impossible, does it?
I don't think so. You look, Gus Edwards, 19 goal line attempts last year. That was the most in the league. And I think you give Henry those, he converts them far more often than Gus Edwards, and then really more than anybody in the NFL. But you can't discount the fact that Henry still, even at age 30, even with 2,030 career carries, still has the juice. At least last year he did. He was second in rush yards, 1,167 yards. Second in yards after contact, 857, and second in explosive run rate of 15-plus yards with 16 total there. And he also led, he was second right now in 20-mile-per-hour runs as well. Fourth highest max speed among running backs last year. Like, the guy still has it, and that's the element that Gus Edwards never has, is breakaway ability. But we have seen Henry, knife through the entire defense, and suddenly he is just running down the field, a full head of steam. No one's coming even close to him, and you're just wondering how a man of that size can move the way that Derrick Henry can move. And I think that's going to happen this year.
He's so durable. He's like a tank.
It's insane. And the fact that he had all those yards and yards after contact last year, it was a line that ranked dead last by Pro Football Focus. This Ravens line has been top 5 in 3 of the past 5 years in PFF grade. They're 5th ranked this year entering the season. I just think Henry is I don't really have him on a lot of fantasy teams, and there is the capped receiving ceiling, and when they get behind, what happens to him? And it does seem like Harbaugh has preferred committees, but he also hasn't had Derrick Henry. And you got to imagine Henry himself is like, I got however many years left. Just let me feast, coach. So anytime they're up, and certainly even just in general, I think he's going to get fed. I do think 20 touchdowns is within his realm of possibility, which is nuts. In terms of reshaping the offense, it's tricky because last year they were actually top 10 in pass rate over expectation, first down pass rate. Then they just got up so big on opponents. I don't know if you were with me when I talked about the stat truth. Second half, they only trailed for 45 total plays with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback across the whole season. And so all they would do is bleed clock. They lose Mike McDonald, a great defensive mind, over the Seahawks now as their head coach. They lost a few key players. I still think it's going to be a great defense, but not the 8th best of all time type of defense. And so a little regression there, maybe a little bit more shootout style games for the Ravens. How would that impact Henry? I think he would probably lose some snaps to Justice Hill. They have been talking him up. all preseason, I don't. When push comes to shove, you have a tank like Henry. I don't think you take him off the field very often. I think he starts off with maybe the first touchdown of the year goes to Derrick Henry. Everyone could see that happening tonight. I think he's going to score. I'll set it at 18 touchdowns, which is like still a huge amount.
I was going to say, like, if you're talking like 20 plus, it's a bit of a stretch, but not impossible. But man, if you said to me like 16 touchdowns, I would be like, yeah, definitely, which is crazy because that's a huge number of touchdowns for somebody to score. I mean, I wonder how many times in league history, like a back has scored 16 touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, and not that many.
No,
right.
Not at all. We shall see. That's probably the most intriguing storyline for the Ravens. We do have one other Ravens player we want to hit. We got over 400 of you with us right now. We love to see it. We only have 2 more stories here that we want to preview that you must watch tonight. And then it's on to the mailbag. About 30 questions in it. Let's continue to pile those on because that's going to be the rest of the show, the lifeblood of the show, whether it's a sit-start question, a bench question. Should I cut this guy for Samaje Perine, for example? Or you're worried. I saw Charlie already asking about the Jamar Chase situation. What is our take? What do you do if you have Jamar Chase right now? Any type of questions, get them on in. We'll answer them to the best we can. That's the goal of this show, is helping you guys out, getting those lineups perfect. But again, any thumbs up from wherever you're watching, it does help us get out to more people and continue to grow the show. And we actually gained nearly 100 subs in the last 2 weeks. You'd love to see it. We're so close. Yeah, we're about, I think, like 50 away or so from hitting that 4K goal.
We should get that today.
We could get it today if everybody watching here, if even a fifth of you just go over and hit subscribe, you'd help us so much get into that 4K number, which would continue to help boost us out there to so many others. So many kind comments coming in too that, oh, you guys deserve more likes and followers. We really greatly appreciate that. And if you want to help us out, any shares and follows are so greatly appreciated. Let's wrap up, though, with these last 2. Let's stop pumping our own tires here.
No, we got to do a little pumping. But I will just say, Mr. Special Edition just put in the comments, and we're going to give him a little preview because his question was start or sit Xavier Worthy. And as it turns out, question number 4 is, can you trust Xavier Worthy from week 1 on? So you're going to get a little just accidental bonus, and you're going to get popped to the front of the line as far as getting your question answered. What do you think, Wolf? Xavier Worthy, we actually touched on him earlier. I mean, do you think he's a week 1 starter? Would you start him this week if you got him?
Absolutely. I think you got to roll the dice this week. If there are some, certainly let us know your Xavier Worthy questions. I personally myself am toiling between Chris Godwin, a great matchup against the Commanders, the worst secondary of last year, versus Worthy myself. I'm probably going to go Godwin, so I'm not saying you have to start Xavier Worthy in every situation, but I've gotten, JSN versus Xavier Worthy. I love JSN. I love Worthy even more. So let us know what your Xavier Worthy questions are. But here's the case for why you should start him tonight. 1, we already talked about it. No Marquise Brown. Very clear runway. Even when Marquise Brown was healthy this preseason, we saw Andy Reid deploy Xavier Worthy in a way we've never really seen him deploy rookie receivers. He made even Tyreek Hill wait half a season for earning the role. Rasheed Rice last year, we saw it take till about week 10 until he really got going. But in the preseason, Worthy with Mahomes played all but 3 snaps with those starters. He had a 25% target share, a 68% air yard share, was a near every down receiver, averaging 17 average depth of target in those. I know it's the preseason. We don't want to overreact to those type of stats, but I do think it is crucial to know that there was no reservations here with Andy Reid putting him right out there. He had 4 touches, 3 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown in that week 2 preseason game. He goes out of the slot. He moved around and got designed runs. He got a screen. And this is a guy that was absolutely dynamite on screens in college. A lot of people, 4.21 40, fastest in NFL history, only a deep threat, right? No, this guy is really, really solid with the ball in his hands. Like as a true freshman, averaged over 3 yards per route run. This guy can truly get it done in any facet of the game. 46% of his catches actually were on screens, according to Scott Barrett. So this is a huge part of his game. And who is better at wide receiver screens, at screens in general, than Andy Reid? He knows how to carve up defenses with beautifully designed screens. How many times do we see Tyreek Hill just get a lane and was absolutely gone? The worry with Xavier Worthy is, of course, a couple big hits and boom, he's got a small, slight frame. He's not built like Tyreek Hill in that sense that he could just punish you when he has the ball in his hand. But ultimately, he can certainly outrun you. He can certainly get deep. And there's a clip going viral right now, the beat writer from The Athletic suggesting first 15 plays, there's going to be at least a handful of deep design targets to exploit Xavier Worthy to get the defense questioning what do we have to do to defend this team, to get everybody backing up. And this is not the Ravens secondary of last year. So in my opinion, yes, if you don't have a great wide receiver 3 option to go ahead of Xavier Worthy, ask again your questions. But I have him 7 spots, like I said earlier, above ECR. I think I'm going to bump him up another 5 spots by the end of this show. I'm in love with Xavier Worthy on the season, and I think especially right now when you ultimately don't have Marquise Brown, this is where he can firmly establish, I'm the guy, let's go.
Good points all around. A lot of it, we talked about him earlier, so I don't have a ton to add to that. I will tell you that while you were making that excellent case, I dropped my kicker and picked up Samaje Perine.
You listen, Truth. The actionable advice here. See what happens. If, again, anything happens, and especially because you have Pacheco, right? Like, obviously, it would be the end of the world in a sense if Pacheco gets hurt. It's your second highest paid player, but at least you soften the blow a little bit if you have a guy like Samaje Perine the clear handcuff to him. So
doing stuff in real time here, folks.
Yeah, that was an earlier recommendation about dropping a kicker, a defense, especially if you have the roster churn ability as you do on Yahoo. Perine doesn't hit, cut him for your kicker on Sunday, whatever it might be. But ultimately, getting a handcuff with benefits like that should be far more owned than 7%. One last question completely. Here.
All right, let's talk potential Ravens number 1. Let's talk about Zay Flowers. We're going to see a year 2 leap or the same low roll that we saw last season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, impressive for a rookie. Wide receiver 27, 13.4 fantasy points per game. The biggest games coming when Mark Andrews got knocked out of the lineup. He was the wide receiver 9 over that stretch run over the end of the season, 14.5 points per game. He had 17 or more fantasy points in 4 of those 5 games, was a wide receiver 1 in those 4 games as well. And then even with Andrews' return to the playoffs, 20.9 fantasy points against the Chiefs in that game. Ultimately finished 15th in most rookie receptions of all time with 77 last year. And all the reports in training camp, this was kind of underreported. A lot of people didn't talk about the fact that their wide receiver coach said he has been, Zay Flowers, working so hard to take his game to another level, and especially just emerging as a leader, a veteran presence already in just year 2. I think he's just trying to get him the ball. He touches the ball, something special is going to happen. We're just putting him in a position to be successful each and every way possible. I think he's really going to see his role grow. A lot of design touches, as they're already alluding to. But last year, 8.4 yards of average depth of target, was 81st in the league. We saw him at Boston College average 15.3 yards per reception, used deep far more often. It is a skill set in his repertoire, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Ravens start tapping into that a bit more this year, as we talked about the defensive regresses, not just dominating teams with the run game to bleed clock at the end of games. I could see Zay Flowers really taking off. Definitely, I have him even higher than Xavier Worthy, who I just talked about in this week 1 rankings. I got a few questions about him. I think especially in full PPR, where you're getting a lot of design touches here, you got to play Zay Flowers. I think this might be the year he leapfrogs even Mark Andrews as the clear focal point of this passing game.
All right. Those are our 5 burning questions, guys. We got currently a little over 440 of you watching. We've said it before. We'll say it again. First of all, we really appreciate you being here. If you could give us a like or a subscribe or anything like that. We're getting dangerously close to 4,000 subs on YouTube. Just whatever platform you're on, give us whatever love you can give us. We really appreciate it. We pride ourselves on being able to hit all the questions in the mailbag. We started a little early. We got an hour before kickoff still, and which we're committed to getting off before kickoff. But we got a lot of questions. We can easily hit all these right now. 455 of you now. So keep bringing the heat, and let's get started with Charlie. Obviously, he's one of the OGs. Level of concern on Chase's status this week. Bit of a first world wide receiver pretzel I am in. Can only play 3 of Chase, Garrett Wilson's neighbors, or Rashee Rice in PPR. He's leaning Rice tonight, sitting neighbors if Chase can go on Sunday. What do you think of that?
Talk about, you called it, Charlie Menelakis. First world wide receiver problem is absolutely correct here. This is tough. And now I'm glad you pointed out it is full PPR, because that does boost Rashee Rice quite a bit. They designed so many. I hit over a 35% target share. We talked about Xavier Worthy in the preseason, just vacuuming targets. Well, even more was Rashee Rice here. So I do think you probably get him in here with the question marks around Jamar Chase. And if he doesn't go, what a great fallback you have in Malik Neighbors. I also do have Malik Neighbors top 12 +9 ECR this week, facing a Viking secondary that just got absolutely dusted week in and week out last year. Sure, a couple additions, and they just had so many injuries already hitting that secondary this preseason. And there was a report today that came out that Brian Daboll has like a back part of his clipboard that just has like Malik Neighbors' name on it and just all these plays that you can design for him. And Barkley was talking about it on a show where when somebody gets a hot hand, he's never seen a coach like Brian Daboll who just has like, here's all the plays. We're just going to start riding a hot hand. And Neighbors strikes me as the type of guy that like he'll get a hot hand and he's just going to get look after look after look. So I love Malik Neighbors, honestly. I don't know if I could bench Garrett Wilson or Jamar Chase for him. That's why it's like, do you really have to play Rashee Rice here when those are your other fallbacks? But one, you get that action tonight and it's full PPR.
Action tonight.
You got to get the action tonight.
I'm
high floor.
I'm benching Neighbors. I shouldn't say it's not close, but I would pretty quickly do it. I want the action tonight. PPR like more. And look, even though Neighbors is just an incredible talent, let's not forget like Daniel Jones. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not too excited about anything Giant related, except maybe Neighbors. But I'm definitely I'm benching him out of those guys tonight.
I think that's fair. I do think you got to get Rashee Rice in a full PPR league. It's so safe. It's so steady. And I guess it gives you a chance to see how his Neighbors deployed. How bad is Daniel Jones? Worth seeing for sure. NC Firearms with a super chat. Thank you so much. Reminder, anybody that does want to toss a super chat, you're supporting your boys so much, and you also get to jump the line. So thank you so much, NC Firearms. You routinely toss us. I remember you from last year. It is so greatly appreciated and great to see you again. I love when the regulars come back out to play. It's just so great to see everybody.
They're lurking. They're all out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to know PPR league. Should he start Zamir White or DeAndre Swift?
These are actually two guys that were not – they're two of my faves this year. So I won't lie to you, NC Firearms. I'm not a huge fan of either of them. Week one, though, I feel like for this question, I'm a little more concerned about DeAndre Swift's workload. Now, it's tricky because the Titans were not a great run D. They do have a pretty beastly front, but they were actually one of the highest in the leagues in receptions allowed to running backs last year, and that would be Swift's game. That all being said, though, Khalil Herbert looked awesome this preseason. There's already rumblings of like Velus Jones getting mixed in there. It could be a 3 to 4 headed disgusting nightmare situation for that. And I feel better that at least Zamir White, unless they get down huge early, is going to be the focal point of that run game, even though it's a gross offense overall. I feel better about like White's chances of scoring a touchdown, of seeing 20-plus touches, of a team that under Antonio Pierce that wants to really run the rock. The issue is if they get behind early, it's probably going to be Dylan Laube or Amir Abdullah. And Alexander Madison was a little more involved than you'd like to see this preseason too. But of these guys, again, I don't love either. This is one where like I'd go Xavier Worthy if you had him over either of these guys without a blink of the eye. But these are the two choices here, NC Firearms. And again, you super chat. I'm not trying to dump on your team. I'm always honest with you. But of these two, I do think Zamir White is the play. What about you, Truth?
I agree with you, but also you're not dumping on his team. And this might be his absolute last roster. I mean, this isn't like for his RB1 or anything like that.
I hope
he's trying to he's trying to fill out his roster. I would also go White in this situation.
Yeah.
Right,
thank you again so much for the super chat there. NC Firearms. We were on over here.
He says it's going to be a great year. I need to start one of Chuba Hubbard or Calvin Ridley at the flex, half point PPR or half PPR.
If anybody's been watching the show this offseason, you
know what you're going to say.
Ridley. I love Calvin Ridley. And I think Chuba, we know Brooks is out. We know that Dave Canales started talking about, I want to stay stubborn with the run game. So he's going to feed Chuba Hubbard. That feels to me like 25 touches for 80 yards and you get your 8 points and you're not mad about it. And that's the nice, if you're a big, heavy favorite and you just want like a surefire flex that's going to get you 8, Chuba's more likely to get you 8 than Ridley. But Ridley just brings so much more upside to the table. The Jamar Chase move around role they've talked about using him in, that we saw him get used in this preseason. Will Levis looked a lot better than we had seen, completing 84% of his passes this preseason. I do worry a little bit that, Jalen Johnson for the Bears, he's a shutdown. He's a great corner. I don't know that he completely shadows Ridley, given that they're going to be moving him around more often, though. I have Ridley on a bunch of teams. I'm rolling him out with confidence this week. I think he's going to have a huge year with the Titans, and it's a tougher matchup. It's not an ideal way to start the year. I just look at Chuba Hubbard, though, and again, maybe he does score 2 touchdowns, but the Saints are a pretty decent defense here, and I want to see that Panthers offense before I have to believe that it's real. Bryce, that was so bad to watch last year.
Chuba Hubbard, if you're going to describe Chuba Hubbard as a meal, he's like a baked potato, not completely plain, like maybe with like a little salt, but that's it. Like you don't get any butter or sour cream, or you're not loading the baked potato up. You can eat it and you'll survive, but like you're not having a good time, really.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
That's a great analogy. And there are a couple weeks like, yeah, you sprinkled a little cheddar cheese in there. He scores a touchdown, but it was an empty bag. It was a very small bag of cheddar cheese, just kind of like the crumbs left over that you dump in there. And yeah, he gives you a little extra flavor that 1 week, but he did have a great stretch run last year. Baked potato, though, just does feel very, very accurate.
For some reason, I was just like, what meal? And immediately I was going to ask you, and then I was like, I don't need to ask him. He's a baked potato.
He's a baked potato. Whereas like Ridley, I'm trying to think of like the comparison there, because it's more boom bust. It's not guaranteed to satisfy you. But when it satisfies you, it's the best. Like I'm trying to think of like, I don't know. Do you have anything that comes to mind?
Well, what's something you order sometimes and it's awesome, and then sometimes you're really, really disappointed?
I mean, that's what I was actually thinking of, and it's like as gross as it seems like an insult to Calvin Ridley. I was kind of thinking of like Domino's, like late night. Like sometimes it comes and it is just like it hits the spot to perfection. You couldn't ask for anything more. And then there's times you get it, and it's just like, oh God, like. Usually when you're sober, it's like, what did I do to myself? Why am I eating this? So I guess Calvin Ridley's is the more drunk play here. But
yeah, that's a good call.
So good.
That's a good call. Bulldog. Yeah. Good luck to all. Thanks. Good to see you, Bulldog.
Definitely. Oh yeah, Bulldog regularly here. Seeing all of it for sure.
The Englishman made in America. He's starting Worthy over Rome. What do you guys think?
I like the move. And, I think Rome's a more complete receiver, a top, 10 pick in the NFL draft, a third wide receiver taken in an elite class. All that's great. But Worthy's path to volume, to immediate impact is a lot clearer than Rome's, in my opinion. You're talking, at worst, the number 2 receiver tonight for Patrick Mahomes in a game where they might need points at a premium. They're going to definitely be dialing this up to showcase their new toy. Rome, I love his late season stretch run upside. If something happens to Keenan Allen, if he continues to develop that rapport with Caleb Williams, he could go bananas this year. I really love that you have both these guys, Englishmen. But to me, at week 1, it is definitely Worthy.
Yeah, agree completely.
All righty.
All right. Got to start 3 receivers. He's got these: Rice, Flowers, Sutton, St. Brown, Shakir. All right, right off the top, let's just agree that St. Brown shouldn't even be in this conversation. You're obviously starting St. Brown, regardless of who you have. But I personally, Wolf, I would probably lean St. Brown, Rice, and Flowers. What about you?
Yeah, that one's pretty easy to me. It's St. Brown, Rice, and Flowers. I don't mind Sutton as the clear number 1 for Bo Nix. Shakir could be that number 1 for Josh Allen. Great guys to have on the bench. See what happens. See how their quarterback plays for Sutton. See who becomes that number 1 for Josh Allen. But, I mean, like you said, etiquette here. You don't need to ask about bench St. Brown for Shakir.
Is your receiving core CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Justin Jefferson? Then maybe we can talk.
And you still might bench Justin Jefferson.
I'm still probably starting him.
You're still probably starting St. Brown. You're always starting him every week. And Rice and Flowers are both great options here too. Great receiving core, FD. But I think it's a clear top 3 on that list.
Good job. KJ Frederick, full PPR. Noah Fant, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. Okay. Mo likes Noah Fant, right?
Yeah, Mo's a big Noah Fant guy. You're definitely just talking about punt tight ends here. Who's got the most upside? One, I would say, if Taysom Hill's out there, I think he scores a touchdown at minimum, if not 2 this week.
Running back too.
Not. Yeah, which is a crazy bet. You can get some pretty decent odds on 2 touchdown Taysom Hill this week. I do think Jonnu Smith, I hyped him up all preseason as my favorite tight end sleeper. And I know there was some panic amongst the fantasy community this week. We're going to talk about it on Sunday when I go through my Sunday notes. Jonnu Smith was listed as a backup fullback on the depth chart.
What?
But then I know, not what you initially want to see. But then Mike McDaniels came out and clarified, like, this is the F-back role, not the fullback. This means he's going to be moved around. He's going to get the backfield. He's going to be the slot. Like, he talked about how this is actually an emphasis that, like, this is going to be a more diverse role than people might be imagining here. I love Jonnu Smith. I think that Mike McDaniels, what does he do well? He maximizes the screen game, maximizes speed and space. Jonnu Smith had the fastest 2 times among tight ends in miles per hour last year. He is an absolute speed merchant. He is actually, I think, 3rd or 4th in yards after the catch per reception last year. So the 2 things he does really well, run fast and do damage after the catch, is exactly what Mike McDaniels does well. So I'm a huge fan of Jonnu Smith in general this year. I think, to me, the only thing that comes close here is Hunter Henry does get a matchup versus the Bengals, who were just an absolute leaky faucet against tight ends last year. Hunter Henry isn't a good matchup, but to me, I want to bank on my take on Jonnu Smith here. I think that game against the Jags is going to be a fun one with a lot of points. I'm going Jonnu Smith. Who's your favorite punt of these 3?
I think I'm just based on Mo's recommendation. I'm going to say Noah Fant, but I agree with you. This is a punt.
Denver did give up the most points to tight ends last year. Actually, speaking of leaky faucets, they were even worse than the Bengals, who were the 2nd most points. So this is a tricky one. I mean, this is 3 really good punt options at tight end for week 1. If you're that desperate at the position, I feel bad for you. You shouldn't be this desperate. You should have gotten, at worst, a Njoku or Ferguson, KJ. But hey, you're in the mud, rolling around. I would take Taysom Hill over any of these guys, but if not, I'm going to stick to Jonnu. But it is a tough call. I don't even know who I have higher in my rankings. That's just my gut right now. You can find those rankings at rotostreetjournal.com, by the way. All of our content is up there, rotostreetjournal.com. Another plea here with 520 of you. Here we go. A nice way to kick off the season. That thumbs up, the likes, the subs, the shares, the retweets, all that stuff. I know it's annoying to hear me beg for it, but it does really go such a long way. Maybe we could get to 5K tonight. Who knows? Or not 5K, 4K rather. 5K would be.
No, 5K tonight.
But I think there's a slight chance maybe that we could maybe push to 4K tonight. If you guys are willing to hop on over to YouTube, hit that sub. Oh, it would be such an important goal here. So Bulldog, we're going to get this question. We got a super chat coming in again from NC Firearms.
I know. He's double super chatting. That almost never happens. But anyway,
very,
Bulldog.
Very generous of you.
Javonte Williams over Chuba Hubbard this week. PPR. I would lean Javonte. What about you?
Yeah, the talent gap is just too wide here. You got the baked potato of Chuba Hubbard, as we were talking about earlier. He is going to get you some satisfaction. He's going to fill you up, but is it going to be ultimately all that delicious? Probably not. Whereas Javonte Williams, more of a timeshare, less guaranteed to get like 20-plus touches this week. But, man, he looked good this preseason. When he came out, I've been such a Javonte guy throughout.
You have.
Too bad that, he had that terrible knee tear. But he looked fully back. He talked about losing 20 pounds this offseason. It seems like Sean Payton's just in love with this guy. I like Javonte. I'm really excited to see what he does. And PPR, no one designs. I know it's probably Jaleel McLaughlin getting those dump offs a lot of the time, but they're going to still dial up Javonte Williams. He had about, I want to say, 50 receptions last year. It's just the Sean Payton staple. They led the NFL in backfield targets last year. So I think there could be just a cheap 3 targets, and boom, you already just 3 points on little dink and dunks. What else does he do from there?
45 minutes till kickoff, just about. NC Firearms coming in hot off the top rope for the 2nd time in less than 10 minutes, probably. PPR flex. Should I start Dalton Kincaid, Raheem Mostert, Devin Singletary? By the way, this is a different league. I have Laporta in my tight end spot.
Ooh, very nice to see Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta on the same roster, just bullying people at tight end here. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a tricky one here. This is a really tough one because I do think you get Arizona for Buffalo, and that's just going to be. I think they're going to put up tons of points, Buffalo, and I think Arizona's going to keep that a fun game. I really like the over in that one. And is Kincaid the number 1 option there in PPR? You could just see dink, 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 tons of catches for him. I do lean Mostert. I feel like this is a guy who had 21 touchdowns last year, and the risk with drafting, the reason he fell to around 6-7 was, he's 32 years old, could get hurt, but he's healthy right now. And as much as I love Devon Achane, and I'd much rather have Achane than Mostert. That's not the debate here. I think I have Achane as my running back 5, but Mostert's still probably a good bet to score a touchdown this week. And it gives you a chance to kind of feel out how involved is Dalton Kincaid. Is he the number 1 guy? Singletary, 89% of the snaps for the starters this preseason, looking like the clear feature back. I'm starting in a running back 2 spot in my main league this week. I am. Yeah, that's the league I sent you with Christian McCaffrey. I'm
Well,
stacked
that's
everywhere.
that's the one where you're talking about you got a bunch of RB3s and you need one to become an RB2, right?
Exactly. Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, Singletary. And I think this week, Singletary, the safest bet for volume, not the scariest matchup versus Minnesota. I really do like Singletary. But to me, Mostert, as long as he's healthy, I imagine it's going to be a role pretty similar to last year. I think Achane does get a bump up in some usage. It comes at the expense of Mostert, but when they get in close, they're going to pound it with the guy that got them a ton of touchdowns last year. So to me, I start this season with Mostert. I see what I'm getting from those other two, and maybe we flip this NC Firearms in a week or two. But for week one, I'm going with Mostert. What about you, Truth?
I agree with that analysis 100%. The way you started talking when you were talking about Kincaid and hyping up Singletary the whole time, I was thinking, yeah, that's all true. I think I'd probably start Mostert, but then you got there eventually yourself. So
yeah,
we actually
I
feel
love
this,
especially with the super chat too. I love to paint the picture for all the potential scenarios why one guy could be great. So that way, if you choose to go against us, you at least have some ammunition for all three decisions here. But yeah, I do think for me, if I'm making that choice, it is Raheem Mostert for me. Good to see Andres. Awesome to see you. He's kind of hyping up the fact that he got Hollywood at 112. I love it. Again, I think Hollywood's going to go down as one of the best picks at drafts where you can stash him in the IR for now. Stash me in the IR and pick up Samaje Perine tonight. See what happens with that guy.
I did it. I did it like 20 minutes ago.
Exactly.
While we were on the air.
Mr. Trey Cinco, great to see. The Mr. Pitbull is back with us over here. Those Roto Street ship me out one to Miami. Hey, shop.rotostreetjournal.com, brother. Anybody can go out there, get themselves some Roto Street swag, support your boys at the online store. It's up there. You can get hoodies, you can get t-shirts, you can get whatever you'd like. Shop.rotostreetjournal.com. Get some swag, rep yourselves out there in Miami at a Pitbull concert. I want to see Mr. 305 on the screen with a Roto Street Journal tee. That would be pretty fire.
We should start really trying to get, because we got people all over the country and people like honestly popping up in strange parts of the world for like in our show. We need to start getting people on camera or getting pictures of them wearing some of our swags from different places. If you're going to like a Taylor Swift concert, wear an RSJ shirt.
Yeah, Hill should have been doing that. Yeah,
he'll stand out like a sore thumb, but still.
Exactly. Yeah. We like Travis Kelce here.
Yeah, we do. We love him. Russian
Yard, great to see you. Salute back at you. Keep those questions coming on in. Oh, maybe we're gonna get to 600 tonight for our first night kickoff. 600 live with us.
Well, we got about 40 minutes to go till kickoff. AR Cruz wants to know sit or start. Debo or Rashee Rice, full PPR.
Oof.
See, that's tough because you want the action, but I would go Debo. You want the action tonight, it would kill me.
I know, and especially because it's full PPR though. And Debo gets the Jets. And I know Debo's a different type of weapon. It's not like he's going to get shadow coverage from the brutal cornerback corner. They're going to move him around. He's going to get in the backfield. Great bet to score a touchdown every given week. I think in a full PPR league, though, I'm getting the action tonight. I'm going Rashee Rice. He's going to get 8 to 10 targets. He's going to catch 7 of them, and especially with that Jets matchup this week. In a full PPR, I'm actually going to go Rashee Rice here, Truth. Okay. And I have Debo on my team. I love Debo. No one's more exciting than him, but yeah, I'm going Rice here.
Yeah, your argument's not a bad one. It's one of those things where at the end, it would be tough because I both hate not having action on Thursday, and I also hate not putting in a guy who's just a real thoroughbred who I like went out of my way to get, which that would be Debo. So this would be a tough one for me. I have to admit it. Reflexively, really I said Debo, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Rice is the same. Like if Debo just he is a little boom bust anyways. And so, Rashee Rice, he's going to get you 15 points this week. He's going to catch 7 balls. Okay. He's going to have 80 yards. Debo against the Jets, that to me feels like one of the rare games where you don't get a huge Debo day. The next week, he's probably at 25 for you. So, I think this week, though, Rice is the safer play. My man Droid is here. I'm listening. Debo. I'm going to go grab another beer because it's Thursday. It's the week one. I need to tap into. I love these aluminum pints, by the way. Right there. So I'll be right back, Droid.
All right, man. Droid 209 says, welcome back, boys. Kyler Murray or Matthew Stafford. Also, start 2, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Jerome Ford, or Ladd McConkey. I got to tell you, based on the matchups this week, Wolf, do you like Kyler or Stafford more?
I got to go Kyler. And matchup-wise, I do love Stafford, Lions. That game could really go bonkers indoors Sunday Night Football. I love it.
It's going to be a big one.
But Kyler chasing points against Buffalo, probably running all over the place. Marvin Harrison, their first game together. I got to go Kyler there. And I do really like Stafford. I'm +4 ECR on him, but I still have Kyler like 3 to 4 spots above him. So I'm going Kyler here. What about you, Truth?
I'm absolutely going Kyler for the same reasons. Kyler's one of these guys, you see everybody talking about, hey, this quarterback could win your league. He shows up every now and then in that conversation. And he goes dirt cheap, or he went dirt cheap in your drafts. I did an article about him, I feel like maybe a year ago or so, a year and a half ago or whatever, when he was coming back from injury. I mean, the guy has put up some like wide QB3, QB6 seasons in the past.
Yeah.
He's got some real weapons. He's got Trey McBride. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. Like and he can scramble like crazy. So yeah, I would go Kyler. As far as starting two from the other list, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Jerome Ford, or Ladd McConkey. I feel like so we don't know if this is PPR or not, but Jerome Ford seems like an absolute must start to me.
He does, but I mean, these are some great options here. I think Ladd McConkey we can cross off for now.
Right, I agree.
Could he be Justin Herbert's number one weapon? Yeah, he really could, and I'd love to see it. And suddenly this becomes an even tougher weekly sit start. But for week one, we don't know that. It could be Josh Palmer. They could just hand the ball off 70 times to the horse Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. We don't know there. I think Chris Godwin's honestly, especially if you're getting any type of PPR points, facing Washington back in that slot role where he's thrived. Like, I'm so big on Chris Godwin this week. I think unless it's as a standard league, then he's got to be one of the guys. And even in a standard league, I probably still go him. I think this is a tricky one, Droid, and hopefully you can join us on Sunday at 8 a.m. Where I'll be going live for the Sunday sit start, because T. Higgins is a little hamstring news today, and that thing's lingering. You know how T. Higgins – I don't ever draft T. Higgins, and this is exactly why. The hammies flaring up right ahead of week one. The Patriots game, are they really going to need to push it against such a bad offense? If T. Higgins, all things considered, was healthy and ready to go with Chase starting slow, like, I'd love to play him. But with the hammy thing popping up, it's like, yeah, I'd probably go Godwin and Ford here. If T. Higgins, it's like, it's just a scare, he's 100%, I probably would switch that and go T and Godwin. So definitely come back, Droid, on Sunday, where we have a little bit more information on what's going on with T. Higgins. I think if I had to choose today, though, I would probably go Godwin and Ford.
Yeah, probably me too. It is very, very hard for me to sit Jerome Ford. You're talking about like, essentially a bell cow back right now for a team, with Nick Chubb being out and everything like that. Just hard to sit him on the bench. I do hear your argument for Higgins when healthy and Godwin. But yeah, I'm on the fence. I guess I would lean also Godwin Ford right now.
All righty. Let's come on back, though, Droid, because all things considered, if T is healthy, I probably would go T as of Sunday. So
I'm not sure I would. Start two: Pacheco, Kenneth Walker, Kamara, or Javonte. Interesting. I'm definitely going Pacheco here.
Absolutely stacked.
I think I'm probably going Walker, Pacheco.
Yeah, I am too. And if it's full PPR, it gets even harder because Kamara is just such a dump-off vacuum, and Carolina was such an abysmal run, just an abysmal team in general. They did beef up their interior on the offense and defensive line, so maybe it'll be a little bit trickier. So in full PPR, it gets even closer. But to me, yeah, I'm all in on Pacheco and Walker this year. They've talked about Walker being a 3-down horse. A quote came out today that like DK was originally upset with this offense because it was such a run-heavy scheme. But it was to set up the deep shots, and now he's warmed up to the offense, and now he's been moved around and all that. But all that to say is like this coaching staff loves Kenneth Walker. I love Isaiah Pacheco too. I know the receiving role could be a little bit in jeopardy here. We talked a lot about him earlier, we're definitely rewind the show if you want a little bit more on Pacheco. I think he's, maybe like the third down clear-cut pass blocking situations. We get a little Perine. I still think Pacheco's going to get a lot of designed receiving touches here. It's Walker and Pacheco, even in a full PPR, even though that's closer. I still go both of those guys for sure. And we got a super chat coming in from Elber. The super chat didn't have money, but his question comes in right after.
So we've already talked about Worthy. First of all, thanks for the super chat. Second of all, we've talked about Worthy quite a bit, but you're actually putting him up over some specific people. Is worthy of starting over Pittman and McLaurin? Interesting.
That gets tricky.
It really does.
That's tough because is he worthy of it? Yeah, he really does deserve consideration here. We talked about it already. 4.21 speed with a cannon arm Mahomes. Great in the screen game. all the hype is that they're going to design some really early touches for this guy to get him going early and often. That being said, Elber, as I'm answering this, please comment in, like, is this full PPR? Is this half? Or is it standard? In a standard league where receptions don't get you anything, I do go for the big play of Worthy, the touchdown, the booms. Like, those are the type of receivers I I mean, I don't like to play in any type of standard league. I'm in one this year. And I do go for the big play.
Surprised you're in one.
Because, like, Pittman, for example, like, in a full PPR league, he's probably going to vacuum targets from Anthony Richardson, who knows how accurate or valuable that's going to be. It is full PPR, so that does change it just a little bit for me. I probably stick with the veterans here of Pittman and McLaurin. I'm all in on McLaurin. The first read target share of I called him in my article I published a couple days ago. My 10 best picks of 2024, Daniels and McLaurin were both in there. I think that offense, it's going to be, McLaurin is just set up for the most success he's ever been in his career. It's not the best of matchups against Tampa Bay, but it's certainly not the worst. And I think Tampa Bay is going to put up their points. That's why I love this passing game, because they're just going to constantly be playing from behind and chucking. So, like, to me, McLaurin's the lock here. I love McLaurin this year. I don't love Pittman. I've actually been fading Pittman for the majority of this year. So if I was going to bench one of these two, it would be Pittman. Like, I'm not convinced that Pittman's going to be, by the end of the year, even that much better than A.D. Mitchell. That being said, Josh Downs is going to be out this week, most likely. He was such a volume hog in PPR leagues, but that was from Minshew. This is tough. This is actually really, really tough for me, Elber. I mean, I do have Pittman just a little bit higher in the rankings. I do think he's a little bit safer as a PPR play. All that to say, though, like, if you decide, hey, I want Thursday night action, I want to roll the dice, like, Worthy's justifiable. And could Worthy score 2 long bomb touchdowns tonight, be like a 25-pointer this week, and just open you up with a grenade to your opponent? Like, yeah, that's all very possible tonight. There is also the risk, though. It's like Worthy struggles against the press, and the defense, keeps him in check all night. And yeah, they just can't wait to get Marquise Brown back, because Worthy is a little too small for the NFL. I think that's about a 5% chance. I do not buy that at all. I think that Andy Reid is too damn good as a play caller. Like, they're going to figure this out, and they're going to get him the ball deep. I love Worthy tonight. I really do. I mean, my gut's like, if I was in your situation, Albert, I probably, like, I have Pittman higher. He's safer. And yet I'd probably roll the dice and just play Worthy. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Once again, we're actually 1, 2, 3 is correct, or at least we agree on these things. I was thinking you were going to mock me for saying that, but then you came in with the exact same order. So
yeah. Like, the same play is definitely Pittman. There's no doubt about it. Like,
I don't like Pittman. McLaurin to me is the clear number one.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah, and he does say he might go Worthy with the hype case here. Let us know what your side, Albert.
It's Thursday. It's opening day.
It's opening day. Have some fun. Live a little. Let's go. Good luck either way. I love it. I think Worthy's in a great spot tonight. I really do.
Chris says, football is back, baby. Start and sit question. PPR start Keenan Allen, Pollard, Jerome Ford, or Shakir. So are we starting one guy, or are we benching one guy?
I think it's we're picking one of these guys to start. I do agree with the happy tier there, Chris Geneva. I am playing of these guys. Is Jerome Ford just the safest of all these guys?
He's definitely the safest.
It's not the easiest of matchups here. It's a good defense. I don't love Keenan Allen. Like, the Bears receivers,
no.
I like DJ Moore fine to start this week. But
you don't love like Tony Pollard, right?
Like, I don't know. Shakir, not over Ford. It comes down to Pollard and Ford for me.
I think I like Ford more. I
like Ford too. He's a capable receiver. It's more of a spread offense that fits his skill set pretty well. I'm leaning Ford there, Chris. I am. All the talk today was like Pollard and Spears, a clear 50-50 split in this backfield, which is kind of what we expected.
Got 2 spots, by the way. We're over 600 now. Feel free to tell a friend and let's get it. Let's get up 700. We got about half an hour till kickoff.
Let's go. Great kickoff stream tonight, guys. Thank you so much. And any of you new to the channel, we'd love to have you. We go live regularly throughout the week. Any subscriptions? Let's hit that 4K first night of the season. What a way that would be to kick off the year, guys. Please do consider that thumbs up to get us out to more people. The sub button helping us grow. It's so awesome. It's just so good to have football back and have a baller stream to arrive to the season with. Let's go, baby.
Got 2 spots open on the bench. Who should I add on the bench? Dortch, Mims, McMillan, B. Allen. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading.
Braylon Allen, yep.
Yeah. A. Lascivas or the RB2 for Texas or for the Texans, Cam Akers, LOL.
I do think Akers probably did win that job. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think this comes down to what you need the most. Obviously, of course, Mr. Trey Sarasenko. Of these players, I do think McMillan is my favorite. I love him. Clear number 3 receiver in the Bucks passing attack. I think if anything happened to the top 2, and even if not, I think he's going to be awesome. I love McMillan. And I love Yoshi, like similar thing. Clear number 3 receiver, and an even more explosive attack, and maybe the number 1 or 2 if Higgins is hurt, if Chase isn't playing. I like the 2 receivers here, but that being said, like if you want to mix it up, I think Allen is definitely the highest upside handcuff. But I will once again plug, and I saw another question asking about this, like who was that IR ad? It wasn't an IR ad. It was more so if you have Marquise Brown, don't forget to slap him into your IR spots. And then if it opens it up for you, I love Samaje Perine tonight, 7% rostered right now. And if your league, especially Mr. Trey Sarasenko, allows that roster churn. Some leagues don't, where if your guy plays, you got to have him locked onto the roster till the next week. I still think he's a worthwhile add, Samaje Perine, but especially if you can add him and then if he doesn't show anything, you can cut him the next day. That's the type of thing where if something happens tonight to Pacheco, God forbid, he's going to go for 100% of people's fab already in week 1. And even if nothing happens, like if he comes out and has a Jerick McKinnon, 35, 40% of the snaps and 6 receptions and a touchdown, people are going to be bidding big on them. So I actually like Samaje Perine over all these guys. But if it's just like gun to my head of these ones, I think McMillan and Yoshi are my favorite too.
All right. Fair enough. I waited for an RB2. I stuck between Najee and Ford and half PPR. Thoughts? Also, Cole Kmet or Jonnu? Thanks.
I like Jonnu. All the reasons I already talked about. Andres, I think you're here for the earlier rant about McDaniel's speed and space and designing the screen game for him. I love Jonnu. And I'm worried about Kmet sharing the snaps with Everett.
Right.
Running back 2 is tough here. Warren did practice in full. So earlier would have been very easy. Najee, workhorse, let him ride. And I still think it probably is Najee here. Arthur Smith, for all his faults, does craft a good run game. I don't think Atlanta is like a terrifying defense by any means. And so I could see Najee just like a nice 18, 20 touch day to start the year. And then you're probably going to get a similar 18 touches out of Ford. I just think I'd rather have my 18 touches against Atlanta than I would Dallas. So I'm leaning Najee here. What about you?
I'm also leading Najee, and you talked earlier about Jonnu, and I agreed with your points on that. So we're in lockstep on that.
There we go. Truth, we've been in too much lockstep tonight. Not enough.
Yeah, we've had a few disagreements, but yeah, we have agreed on an awful lot of stuff. We'll see if we can do something about that. Flex, Worthy or Ford, non-PPR?
I'm going Worthy here. I know like oftentimes in non-PPR, it's play the running back. The thing that I'm not like, why I keep being a little hesitant on Ford though is very real chance that Donta Foreman, he got cut for a little bit and then he got brought right back. And I think a lot of people like, just because he got cut for a little bit doesn't mean he's going to disappear suddenly. I wouldn't be shocked at all. In the preseason, they brought Donta Foreman in as the goal line back, and he scored the touchdowns. And so in a league where you are prioritizing touchdowns, I'd much rather have the big play, Xavier Worthy. Let's get that 70-yard touchdown tonight. Let's slap your opponent in the face right from the jump. Ford, I see as a good bet to 70 yards, cool. But I think his touchdown ceiling is actually pretty capped with Donta Foreman there. Maybe I'm going nuts and
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel I'm going Worthy though. I love the upside. What do you think?
This one is tough for me. My instinct is Ford because you're losing so much when you're talking about a non-PPR league. But I see your point. I mean, maybe Foreman's going to cap his touchdowns. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. But at the same time, you could easily see Ford get. I don't know. I'll bet their point output actually is not that. I'll bet it's pretty comparable, like as far as if you're playing non-PPR. So I don't know.
I'm going Ford. I mean, I'm going Worthy. There's a much better chance in a non-PPR league you're getting 20 still. Worthy just needs 2 catches to go just 50 yards each, touchdown.
Well, sure.
I'm so excited to see what he does today.
That's all he needs is 2 50-yard touchdown catches, and you're boom.
And all this Worthy talk, all this Worthy talk, we should acknowledge this is the Ravens. This is a good defense. It's not like he's facing some
You're giving him the keys to the kingdom pretty fast, Wolf.
I think it's gonna. You think he's gonna prove worthy?
And I hope you're right.
Prove worthy.
Okay.
Worthy will be worthy of the keys. Trust me. We shall see. We do have a super chat here from Angel Gonzalez. Thank you so much for the support, Angel. Let's see what we got for you.
12-man full PPR, CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison, Rice, or Devontae Smith. And
he explains the question
as great receiver core. All right, so we're benching one.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm like you have JSN, who I'm excited about. I have him on my bench too. He does not belong in the conversation of starting amongst these guys. And if he does work his way into that conversation, then we're both feeling real good, Angel. But for now, he did a smart job in terms of limiting this. So we need two of these guys. It's clearly CeeDee Lamb for me.
And Harrison also.
See, season long, yes. I would rather have Harrison than any of the other guys here. I think it's his first game. He's a rookie. Like, Rasheed Rice is catching 8 balls for 80 yards tonight, like minimum. You're getting, like I said, a full PPR league. It does change things for me, and I think Rice is just such a safe bet here. I'm going Lamb and Rice, seeing what Harrison brings to the table. He might come out of the gate and be like, "Yeah, I am the best receiver prospect of the last decade. Here's 2 touchdowns for you in a shootout style game." Boom. But for me, I'm going Lamb and Rice, safe, easy, high floor plays. That's what I'm going there.
Yeah, but you need 3.
Oh, you need 3? No, I think he needs to start 2.
And a flex.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, I'm benching Devonta Smith there. Yeah, I'm with you then.
Too. I was like, come on, like let's get to it. You're really gonna start Devonta over Harrison? Come on, man.
No, I'm not. So, and I do like Devonta Smith a ton this year too.
I do too, but
Jalen Hurts, but I'm playing Marvin Harrison over him. All that to say.
As it turns out, we were in lockstep yet again.
Exactly.
Right. Kevin Rice says, "Love you boys. Excited to have football back. PPR, Pollard or Gus?"
Ooh, I'm going to go Pollard there. You're looking at 2 potential time splits here with Tajay and Pollard versus Gus and Dobbins, and a lot of reports coming out that Dobbins is looking real explosive. I'll believe when I see it, the Achilles injury and whatnot. But I do believe in this Titans offense a little bit more right now than the Chargers. I believe in Pollard looking really explosive this preseason. I know the Bears is a good defense. It's a tough defense, but they actually gave up the 6th most points to backs last year. So I'm going to lean Pollard here over Gus. What about you?
I'm actually going to go Gus just because, first of all, I'm not excited about either of these guys.
Yeah.
But Gus does have this strange track record of yards per carry that is up there with like the greats, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
he does.
And also I owned Tony Pollard last year and it was like the worst experience of my life. So I would go Gus probably out of spite.
Yeah, I think I go Gus there. I think I go Pollard still. I think he's got his legs back. I think he's back.
But you don't. Oh, really? You don't love this. You don't love Pollard, do you?
I don't love him, but I saw enough this preseason to feel better about him for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We had last left off. And again, thank you guys so much for those super chats. If you want to cut the line, we have about 15 or so minutes here till kickoff. We'll probably do a rapid fire at one point, but if you want a detailed response to your question, the only guaranteed way at this point would be a super chat. It does support your boys. $6.50 a year. A free way to support your boys is that thumbs up. Last time I'm going to call for it, though, and new subs. We'd love to have you. Push us over 4K tonight. It would be a great way to kick off the season. We'd greatly appreciate it. But let's get back to your questions. Worthy
kickoff's at 8:20. Let's go rapid fire at 8:10.
8:10 will rapid fire it. Yeah. Roku City Criminal.
Xavier Worthy over Keenan Allen. I think
I go Worthy
more.
I like Worthy way more. Yeah. You're looking at like the clear number 2 for Pat Mahomes versus maybe the number 2 for Caleb Williams, who I like, who looked great. The Fat Keenan report's got to have you a little nervous at least. I think Worthy just comes right into a massive, massive game tonight, whereas Allen is now competing with a bunch. So, yeah, I'm going Xavier Worthy there, Roku City Criminal.
Me too. How about Pickens or Worthy? Nick V.
Give me Worthy. I don't love Pickens in this passing game.
I don't like Pickens.
Atlanta, if they lock on AJ Terrell on him too, Pickens is going to be so boomer busting. Maybe Worthy is too, but I'm going Worthy for the deep bomb tonight. I don't want to play this passing game for the Steelers until I see what it actually looks like, because the preseason it was awful. Even though Pickens was a target vacuum there, I'd rather go with the Worthy excitement tonight for sure.
Mahomes might throw a deep TD to Worthy. Yeah, Wolf says all he needs is 2 for 50 yards.
We're going to get 2 of them. How about that, Mr. Special Edition, huh?
Yeah. If that happens, the stream of texts that I'm going to get from you is just going to be unreal. So,
I'm going to be unbearable. You can already see
you will be insufferable.
How did the league? You can already see though the announcers. How did the league let the fastest receiver in NFL history come to the Chiefs? Now we're seeing it in action. Like, you can just hear the Thursday night announcers going nuts about it. I'm fully there. This is a great question though. What's that?
What'd you say his 40 time was?
4.21, fastest in NFL history.
The only one I've ever heard faster than that is Bo Jackson, and that was not at like an official combine.
Not official, yeah.
No, but I mean it was like 4.16 or something. Pretty good. Steve, would you drop Ray Davis or Josh Downs for Samaje Perine? Would you drop either of those guys?
I think if your receivers are set, I do like Downs. He interests me, but I'd rather go the upside of Perine if you don't need the receiver depth. If you're never going to start, Downs, he's kind of one of those guys that, like, even when he hits his ceiling, is he ever someone you're really that excited to roll out? Probably not. Whereas Perine, if he hits a ceiling, it means like something happened to Pacheco, and now you've got like an every down back in the Chiefs offense potentially. So I'd probably drop Downs for him. Not Ray Davis, though. I'd rather have Ray Davis than Perine. I love like the Latavius Murray type role, 12 goal line carries last year, top 10 in the league. Plus, if something happens to James Cook, like Ray Davis all day for me. But Perine, especially if you have good receiver depth, Steve, yeah, I think you could do the drop there. It's just kind of a good bench philosophy. Like, what's the highest? What's the best? If somebody wins here, what's the best case? And if Downs wins, like, I mean, maybe everybody talked about how he was the best player in Colts camp and like before he got hurt, but high ankles linger, and I don't know. It's just bad vibes for me. So I'd probably go Perine over Downs. Especially if you can cut Perine if he doesn't do anything and pick Downs right back up on Sunday. Sweet, even better.
What's a sleeper? What's a defense let's say instead of sleeper defense, who's a defense you think you could pick up off waivers? Because
I mean, I think since he's probably gone at this point, but if they're somehow out there facing the Patriots, I know they're about 50% rostered. That's the clear-cut number one pickup defense. I've seen the Bears lingering out there in leagues. I love the Bears defense this year.
I was thinking of picking up the Bears.
I think that's a great spot against the Titans this week. I like the Titans offense in general, but I think Will Levis, he might put up some points, but he also might throw a pick 6 or 2 to the Bears at home with a great secondary this week. So I'm going to go Bears. And if they're gone, I like the Vikings against the Giants. They're out there in about 80% of leagues. Cool. I think that's a really good spot as well.
Is Worthy a starter sit? Well, yeah, we've talked like crazy about Worthy. He's a start.
If you've been here, Jack, you've probably heard. Yeah, he's absolutely a start. I'm all about playing him tonight.
Who you like? Jordan wants to know: Ravens, Bengals, Saints, or Seahawks defense? Who you like best this week?
I like the Bengals this week. I really do against the Pats. I think they're my number one ranked defense.
Thanks, Wolf and Truth. Good luck this week and the rest of the season. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, Jeff Lee, a classic legend. Great to see another regular coming back for yet another year. This is why we do it, to see you guys continuing to return. It's the best.
Romeo Doubs or Brian Thomas, PPR?
Oof. I mean, Dobbs is definitely the floor play, and you get some Friday night action, which is nice. Probably going to lead.
Yeah, but come on.
I love Brian Thomas, though. I'm a huge Brian Thomas fan, and I think against Miami, they're going to need their points, and they're going to need to get that rookie going. Definitely better floor for Dobbs, more likely to not completely fade on you. And PPR, if you want to set your season with like a nice safe, like Dobbs will probably get you 10 points. So I probably would play Dobbs, but man, am I excited for Brian Thomas. Like, no. You're going Thomas, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Packers receiver rotation, like that is one that's like, I want to say Dobbs is safer than Thomas. He's the one that consistently
You don't know what's going to happen with those guys. Yeah, Dobbs could have a big game, but come on. We're giving the keys to the kingdom to these rookies coming right out of the chute. And come on, this guy's exciting. He's fun.
And I guess it is true. Like if you're going to play somebody in a rotation, a tough to project threesome, maybe go with the rookie that was like the fourth best in a historic class, insane speed, making play after play all preseason. Yeah, okay, you sold me. I'm going Thomas. And
you don't want to be the guy that didn't play Thomas. And speaking of which, Michael O'Hara, are you prepared to give BTJ the nod this week? I sure am.
Yeah. Yep.
I am. I'm putting him in my line. I'd be interested to know, Mo, I got to decide him or Christian Watson. I really want to go BTJ.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't blame you. Don't blame you at all.
Elbert, we're going to go about 5 more minutes, then the Wolf's going to go rapid fire. I only have 3 options this week for week 1. Worthy, Pittman, McLaurin. What's your guys' 2 picks? 2 picks out of these guys.
Oh, this was Elbert. He did the super chat
we did
earlier.
This exact question already. We're good.
Yeah, it was the same guy. So we ultimately did say bench Pittman, have some fun tonight. Even though the 2 veterans are definitely the safer option, I don't know. The gut's telling me big night from Worthy. Who knows? It could definitely be a pie in the face to start the year, and I'd hate that for you guys. I appreciate you all being here, and I want you to come back. So, yeah, the safe play is Pittman and McLaurin. But, yeah, I know if Worthy hits for you, you're going to come back next week too. So yeah, let's have some fun, huh?
He might come back just to, yell at us if he doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Come back and tell me how big of an a-hole I am. That's fine with me. I've heard it.
Wolf and Truth, we back. Omar. Good to see Omar, as always. Like that first hit a tree after a long layoff. Got Mahomes and Worthy stack going tonight. All right, man.
Indeed. And it is a great comparison there. Me, myself, have actually taken quite a little hiatus, so I cannot wait to have that long hit. I don't know when it will be, but I am looking forward to it someday soon. Omar, it's a great comparison. It's back in the air. Let's go. Let's get that hit of serotonin tonight with some football on the TV. That banger of a game, too.
Tom said, got right, and Shaheed, if these hit, you will be the ultimate GOAT.
Hey, here we go. You're going to need some patience with Wright. I want to make sure that's clear from the jump. It's a handcuff play. It's an injury play, but whether it's Achane or Mostert, if one of them goes down, Wright gets his chance, and he has that Achane level speed, explosiveness, and the McDaniel scheme that just maximizes it. So it just makes too much sense to me. He's a guy that if he stays on my bench all year and does nothing, damn, it sucks. But I will not. I'm going to have a very hard time dropping him. I think he's the ultimate add. And yeah, Shaheed, I know it's Mo's dude, and I like him too. What if he gets a Debo-style usage in this 49ers-inspired scheme? He's probably the closest level. Very intriguing athlete that's really dominated when he's gotten the looks, and now Michael Thomas is fully gone. So, yeah. Kate Kuffler, you were asking the IR ad. That was more so, again, moving Marquise Brown to the IR to pick up Samaje Perine. But he's that ad tonight that if you can roster churn, cut your kicker, pick up Perine, unless, of course, you have an Aubrey or a Justin Tucker, whatever it might be. But I cut Younghoe Koo tonight, for example, to pick him up. And if he sucks, I'll just cut him and pick up Koo on Sunday,
All right. Angel wants to know, 12-man full PPR, CeeDee Lamb, Harrison, Rice, Smith, Jay Smith, Jigna. I need to start 2 wide receivers and a flex. Two WRs and a flex here, Wolf. I feel like I know this pretty good.
I know you're worried about Lamb, but it's CeeDee Lamb. That's your second overall pick. You got to go CeeDee Lamb, even though he might be a little slow. I know it's a tough defense. You're playing him. I know always start your studs gets people in trouble. I'd much rather start my stud and have him start a little slow than watch my stud have the 30-point days that he had for half the year last year. He was a monster. I'm going CeeDee Lamb, no doubt about it. And like I said to the other guy, I'm going Rashee Rice in a full PPR. I know Harrison's sexier and intriguing, and long term, I probably prefer Harrison. But
you got a flex here. We're going Harrison in the flex.
Oh, and it's a flex too. Yeah. Okay.
This is easy.
So, yeah. Exactly. Easy money. And then Albert again. Thank you again.
Start Rice or Olave. I have Rice, but due to the weather, I'm thinking about taking him out now.
I didn't see much about the weather. I honestly, that's the one thing about doing the show is I don't see anything going on. Is it that bad though? Is just a little drizzle? I think Campanelli messaged something in here. Looks like the game will be delayed due to rain. Oh, so I mean,
what?
Oh, so I guess we got a little extra time.
Do you want to dial anything back real quick? We got 11 minutes to kick off. What do you think?
I don't know though. I look at a guy like Rice.
I also had no idea, by the way. I had no idea that was going on.
I think I don't know. It depends on how bad it is. So I want to kind of get the
delay in the game.
That might be thunder and lightning, and then the thing clears up by half. And in these situations too, typically, unless it's a windstorm and it's horrible
It was
hail,
a lightning strike near the stadium. Lightning strike near the stadium.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, one lightning strike, so be it. Lightning's going to strike when Rashee Rice goes. Xavier Worthy goes 80 yards. These type of situations end up favoring the offense because they know where they're going. If it's a little slippery out there, they're going to dust him. Mahomes has not played in the rain before. Give me a break. He's going to be fine unless this is a torrential downpour with horrible winds, which I don't think it sounds horrible. It's going to be it's like a 20-minute delay of the game. It's nothing.
So
I think they're letting the weather get out of the system here. It's going to be fine.
So you know, it's been delayed 20 minutes.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything to be that worried about. No, I'm sticking strong with my Chiefs tonight. Again, wind is where you get scared. Hail, like a little bit of a rainstorm and some lightning. God, Mahomes is going to be fine. Worthy's going to be fine. If anything, it gives you a little bit of an edge against the defense here. So no, I'm not worried, and I'm going like Rice is the type of guy that is perfect in a rainstorm. Dink dunk, let me do my thing. I guess I'm a little bit more worried about Worthy, just a little bit though. Like I'm all the ones I've answered so far. I'm thinking through them, and I'm like, nah, I'd still be going Worthy tonight.
All right. Well, we could go a few more without going rapid fire now because we got an extra 20 minutes to play with. If we want.
There we go. That works out for us.
Maybe
we'll get to 700. We're at 690. Look at that, Truth. Let's go. 690 of you here. Again, that thumbs up button does get us out to more people. We got 690 of you here. I think we could. We only need like 50 of you or so to push us over the edge to get to 4,000 to kick off our season. Mean a ton to us. It would be so appreciated. So if you like what we're doing here, please do consider subscribing. We'll be bringing the heat multiple times a week, and we'd love to have you with the sub, the bell on. Come join us week in and week out. Matic, let's get to you. This one's pretty easy for me. Keon Coleman or Cooper? I got to go Cooper here. I mean, great at home, revenge game against Dallas. I know it's a good secondary for Dallas, but they're like an opportunistic secondary. They'll turn you over, they'll pick six you, but they'll give up the big play too, and that's what Cooper is known for. Yeah, I'm excited about Keon Coleman. I can't wait to see who the number one is for Josh Allen. And could it be Coleman? Sure. I think that might be a little bit slower to develop. Let's go with the guy Cooper who had the 2 50-point days last year. I mean, he's got a huge ceiling, and kicking it off at home against his former team that tossed him off the curb for peanuts. I bet you Cooper is going to be fired up for that one. So, yeah, I love Cooper this week. I'm definitely going him, Matic. What's up, Kristen? Great to see you.
Hey,
and Kristen bought some stuff from shop.rotostreetjournal.com very recently. I know the shipping was a little messed up, but yeah, I think you stuck it out with us, Kristen. Thank you so much. Would love to know if you want to email me back how things are coming out. I greatly appreciate feedback you have on that. But thank you so much for always being here and supporting your guys. You're the best.
All right, PPR pick one flex. Xavier Worthy, Devin Singletary, Tyjae Spears, Josh Palmer. I mean, to me, I'm probably going Worthy.
Oh yeah, I'm going Worthy. Singletary's like the next closest, is like the safest high floor pick here. But I of all these guys, like who's gonna just put up 20 points? It's Worthy. This is a reminder though. Like I mean, it is. Everybody always says don't put your Thursday night guys into the flex, and I mostly abide by that. Certainly during COVID, where it was like, oh, who knows what's gonna happen? Like somebody might just get flipped on their head. But I totally get like if you have CeeDee Lamb and Nico Collins. And then Worthy, it's like, well, I'm not going to put one of those guys in the flex. Like, you can't send that message to your fantasy locker room here. And so, yeah, I get the game. Like, yeah, in a tough bye week crunch or when COVID was a thing, like somebody might just be ruled out of nowhere. You want to keep that flex open for your flexibility. But right now, when it's week one and everyone's healthy and we're not worried about that, I also understand not demoting someone to the flex that doesn't deserve the flex,
I hear you.
You believe in that stuff too? Like the flex is to punish people or Worthy. That's a great like motivator. Hey, you're in the lineup tonight, buddy. We're gonna start you in the flex, but you go nuts tonight. You might be wide receiver too, baby. This is your night. Let's earn it.
It's the exact approach I'm taking with BTJ.
Yeah, exactly. BTJ right in the flex, baby. See how you do. Let's do it.
All right, but if you could get a Tank Dell's wide receiver spot if you give me a good game.
Exactly. We answered that one for Angel. He was a super chat earlier. Thank you again for your support, Angel.
Tommy says, would you start Worthy over Ford in PPR if your quarterback was Mahomes and already starting Rice?
Oh, man, this is now getting
that's interesting.
Normally, especially when Mahomes is your quarterback, Worthy over Ford. I like Worthy over Ford anyways. So then you mix in the stack, even better for me.
Love the stack.
Then you add in Rice, and it's like, can you double stack Mahomes? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm never complaining about a Mahomes double stack. Don't get me wrong. But you're starting to, especially if this rain is a little tricky, I think I'm still going with it, though. Like, let's go, Chiefs. Let's get a shootout tonight. It is the Ravens defense, though. So this might be one where I hedge a little bit. And, like, you already have Mahomes and Rice. You already have your excitement. You're going to get some points from those guys. I think I probably go Ford here to balance it out a little bit. But I'll tell you this, Tommy, if you're battling like a 1 seed or your team's the underdog, this is where you would want to double stack it. And like, let's just see a nuclear game and watch Mahomes throw for 3 touchdowns and they all go to my guys. But with so many weapons, if it's a safer type of play that you need, I do think Ford is the one I would most likely go in most situations, unless you're truly a big underdog.
But think about how fun it would be to have 2 Mahomes stacks coming out right out of the gate on opening day. Come on.
It'd be wicked fun. I mean, I get it. Like, a lot of sex appeal there. I'm not going to lie. I get it.
Love that. Kristen says lamb and rice, dog food and lineup.
Yeah. I love it. That's definitely exactly.
Zay or Calvin Ridley. We know Wolf's a Ridley truther now all of a sudden.
I am a Ridley truther. This Jalen Johnson potentially shadowing. As much as I do love Ridley, I kind of like Zay. Michael, this is where the scoring would be helpful. Because full PPR, you're getting a lot more opportunities to dink and dunk to Zay, especially if the weather is what it is and you need a little more low ADOT, high percentage stuff. That's going to favor Zay tonight too. I'm going to go Zay here, but the scoring would change things maybe, but I'd probably just go Zay either way.
I would also lean Zay. Mark Andrews or Kincaid? And he says he's only got 15 minutes. That's his next comment. We get to him when we get to him, but guess what? Now you got more time.
Yeah, you got a little more time here, Cruz. Good way to not get your question answered is to like remind. Yeah, we know there's a clock. We're not. Oh, Cruz said it's only got 15 minutes. We better get to his question. Like, that's never gonna work. You're new around the show. We get it. We're gonna get to you. Normally we would have been rapid firing by now to make sure we got through everything. But we don't need to because we have the rain delay. I'm gonna go Andrews here though over Kincaid. Yeah, you get the Thursday night action. You get a game against the Chiefs. They're going to need some action from the passing game. I love Kincaid. I like Arizona matchup too, but give me Andrews, like the tried and true. If Kincaid becomes what Andrews been for 4 years, then we're feeling good. Just go with the guy that we want him to be.
Who do you translate for me, Wolf?
AR5 or JD5. I think that's Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I'm glad you speak football.
I think I'm going Anthony Richardson here. If you have both these guys, and I've talked about it, I think Jay Daniels is one of the best picks in fantasy, but I do have Richardson higher, and it's just the matter of like Anthony Richardson cost you a 5th or 6th round pick, whereas Daniels cost you a 10th round pick. That's why I love Daniels. I had them both on my roster.
You know something though with these guys. I mean, obviously, you know he's a rookie. Who knows what could happen? You get hurt the first game, stuff like that. I mean, Richardson's more like a tank. Kind of like he's not. I don't want to quite compare him to Cam Newton, but he's just like this big bruising runner and stuff like that.
He's the size of Derrick Henry, and he's faster.
Right, he is, and he's going to score and stuff like that. But one thing about Daniels, I mean, obviously he's got amazing Konami upside, which you talk about all the time. He can also really throw the ball.
Yeah,
like for real, like way better than Richardson can.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he's a better passer. I wouldn't be shocked by the end of the season if JD5 is the play for you. I do think to start the year, though, Richardson's healthy. When he was healthy last year, it was very small sample size, 2.5 games, 4 rushing touchdowns in 2.5 games, though. As long as the whole worry about him is like the injury concern. So he's not injured right now. So get him in there and see what he does. He gets the Houston Texans. Like, that's a shootout style game if I've ever seen one, with Stroud on the other side of that. The Colts have a horrible secondary too. So that's where like Stroud could be going nuts, and then they have to Steichen. Love the play caller because if they're down, he is like one of the fastest play. He just goes rapid fire. So I think that game's going to feature a lot of plays, a lot of points, and a lot of touchdowns. And Anthony Richardson is just a vacuum for scores. And so while he's healthy, you got to roll it out. See what you have in Daniels. See how that line, like, is it as bad as people worry about? I'm worried about the line as much as I like Daniels. What does the Kingsbury offense look like? Is this the boring horizontal rate, or has he learned during his time off? We know what we're probably going to get with Richardson, and if it's just what we got last year, that's incredible. If he takes another step forward, then it's even bigger. So I got to go Richardson here to start, but it wouldn't shock me if by the end of the year you're playing Daniel instead.
I agree with that completely. So I have received word from Campanelli that the storm's over and they're warming up on the field right now. So we don't have too many questions left. Like I said, I think the new start time is still 20 minutes from now, but we'll buzz through these as quick as we can.
Yeah. If anything, that means like any rain concerns you guys had, like you can wipe them out. It's not a over big concern here.
Right. Matt B wants to know Devontae Smith versus Rashee Rice playing against Mahomes.
That's always a tricky conundrum. I certainly have Rice higher. I feel better about Rice, and I guess that neutralizes it somewhat to you. As I talk about, I think Worthy's catching a bomb tonight, and that's going to hurt. But I think Rice can neutralize the blow a little bit for you. That being said, if you're a big underdog, you might play like maybe Mahomes just sucks tonight, and Devonta Smith, outplays Rice, and that puts you in a big edge. But most cases, I'm going Rice here, unless you are like a 20-point underdog type of situation.
That's fair. 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, PPR league. I got Ayuk, Neighbors, Higgins, and Achane. But I want to start Worthy. Is it worth starting over any of them? So would you start Worthy over any of those guys?
Certainly not Achane, not Neighbors. I'm looking at Ayuk here, and I'm seeing a guy that faces the Jets. Terrible matchup. Hasn't been practicing. We know that historically, like that means a slow start. Plus, you have Higgins with the hammy concern. So I would get Worthy in tonight, and then on Sunday, 8 a.m. if you're awake for it, we can debate the other options here between like Ayuk versus Higgins. That's really what it comes down to, like Ayuk or Higgins for me. Which one do you bench? We'll find out on Sunday. If Higgins has the hammy thing flaring up and he might be out, then boom. Let's get Worthy in so it protects you and insulates you from that potentially being an issue. And if Higgins is ready to go, well, let's bench Ayuk against a great Jet secondary. Coming off a no training camp type of situation. So yeah, I am going Worthy, and I'm gonna consider either Higgins or Ayuk for the bench. We'll know more on Sunday. Come back at 8 a.m. and we can finalize that decision. But if I'm making it today, I'm benching Ayuk.
I agree completely. Campanelli, Tank Dell or Worthy?
Oof, I got to go Dell. I'm a Tank Dell to my core, my being. It's a tough one though. I mean, that's really, I have him 2 spots in the rankings within each other. That's how much I love Worthy this week, because I couldn't love anyone more than I love Tank Dell in my entire fantasy career. What a legend. But man, like Worthy's that close for me. I'm going to go Tank Dell here, though. I think that Indy, like I said, I think that game shoots out. I think we get a ton of points. I think that Indy secondary sucks. I think, I just feel better about like Dell just knifing through that defense versus the Raven secondary, and Worthy.
I would also take Dell.
That's a good one. 736 again. We are cruising up the numbers tonight. I love to see it. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I know we're getting more and more by the minute, so I do want to just, again, one last plea for a thumbs up. It does help us get out to more people. We'll be live again at 8 a.m. on Sunday, and we'd love to have you subscribe so you know we're live and going. Maybe we hit that 4K number tonight. It would be so great to start the season. We're so close. Thank you again so much for choosing to spend your Thursday night with us. We'd love to keep answering these. Let's roll.
Angel said he does have Kyler Murray as his quarterback.
Oh, yeah, so that's that stack with Harrison, even better.
Chris said, I thought Kincaid would get so many targets. Sure. I'm in.
Yeah. Thanks, fellas. He's going rookie on rookie, baby. Let's go. It's known as the best rookie class for a reason, and those are 2 very explosive weapons right there. So I don't know who you're going them over, 2-1-3 back, but I'm confident in him. I'm ready to roll.
Worthy or Flowers, half-point PPR?
I'm going to go Flowers there. I think it's just a safer play with equal boom, maybe not equal boom upside, but just a better enough floor that I think I lean Flowers here. What about you?
I think I agree slightly. Which 2 wide receivers to start? Waddle, Smith, Ayuk, or Pittman?
I think I'm going Waddle and Smith here. I'm worried about Ayuk with the delay in training camp and that Jets matchup. And I just don't love Pittman. As much as I like that game to maybe shoot out, like there's a world where Richardson puts up 30 fantasy points and Pittman doesn't even have 8 because Richardson runs an 8, runs like 8 carries, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's just such a scoring hog that doesn't need his receivers to do it with him. So I'm gonna go Waddle and Smith here.
This one's pretty easy for me, and I feel the same way.
There we go.
Start 2, Higgins, Kirk, and Worthy.
I'm going Worthy tonight. Get him in there. Yep. And then, again, like with a guy like Higgins, where we don't know what is this hamstring thing? Do we have to be worried about it? Because if he doesn't play and then you didn't play Worthy, and Worthy has 20 points tonight, you're going to be kicking yourself, William. So I play Worthy tonight, and then, if Higgins is good to go, and especially if Jamar Chase is starting slow, I'd probably go in a vacuum Higgins over Kirk. But if the reports are like this hammy is not a joke, like he might be less than 100%, he might not even play. I'm going Worthy tonight, and then we figure this out on Sunday morning between Kirk and Higgins based on what reports we get over the weekend.
Best backup running back to stash. To me, it's Jalen Wright, probably. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Jalen Wright, not even close. My favorite. There is if Blake Corum was somehow out there for you.
Sure,
Blake Corum's my favorite handcuff. But yeah, Jalen Wright's my number 2. I have a whole tweet out there, Tanya. If you just want to go to @RotoStreetWolf and search stash, I have 12 of my favorite in order. It's on my timeline, or you could search for it. So I have all 12 of those guys in order for you. I don't know them off the top of my head, memorized, but I do know Jalen Wright's number 2 behind only Corum. And I think Tyler Algier's number 3 for me behind Bijan with some standalone handcuffs. I'll tell you, Samaje Perine tonight, he's number 5 or 6 on that list. The other one I would toss out there, Tanya, is Jordan Mason. McCaffrey with this calf injury, if that ever lingered or flared up. Now you got, no Eli Mitchell on the IR. I love Jordan Mason. He looks real good. If something happened to McCaffrey, that guy could be a league winner.
Wolf, this is from Casey White, but I know who this is really from. Wolf, back in 2018, I told you CMC would become a fantasy god, but you returned the favor by helping me win my league last year. Thanks for Kyron and Tank Dell.
There you go. I'm glad to return the favor.
this is a good friend of mine who is tweeting under his wife's account, probably because he's been banned from every social media site that there is.
That's our kind of people.
But he's also a longtime RSJ believer. He is probably the guy I've known the longest in my life. I've known him since I was 2, and he has very spirited feelings about various forms of media and fantasy, and just absolutely swears by Roto Street Journal. Just thinks he thinks we're head and shoulders above. So he's a little nuts, but he really believes in us. So thanks, bud.
Hey, I'm glad I got you, Kyra and Tank. We'll say this, and I'm glad to have a longtime friend of yours with us. We were in on Christian McCaffrey too, though. I'm glad you were there too, Casey. I'm sure having some good fantasy minds pushing us towards it didn't hurt, but we love the guy too. We were all in on him that year. So
I was gonna say it didn't take much convincing, I guess.
No, we were all in already. But hey, Casey, I'll give you credit. You called.
Who should I flex this week? Half PPR, Ramondre or Amari Cooper?
I'm going Cooper again. Your revenge game against the Cowboys, against a good but opportunistic defense that also gives up big plays. I love Cooper at home in that revenge game type of narrative. And it's like Ramondre, I don't want anything on the Patriots until I see what this offense looks like. And I'm guessing after I see what it looks like, I'm going to want them even less. I'm worried until Drake May is starting.
Stevenson, Scary Terry, or Kirk flex? To me, it's clearly Terry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is so easy. It's Scary Terry. I'm so in on him this year, well ahead of these other guys.
If I have Worthy, should I start him? I don't know if we've touched on that.
Yeah. The answer is yes. And over Higgins, honestly, I think with this hamstring thing potentially flaring up, I probably have, I haven't even been able to check and update my rankings because we've had so many great questions tonight. I probably have Worthy below Higgins in my rankings, but I'll tell you, there's a very real chance Higgins gets dumped down if this hamstring thing is serious. Yeah, I'm rolling Worthy tonight. I don't want to have Higgins suddenly ruled out with a hamstring injury. It's what's the next man up? Probably not better than Worthy. I'm going Worthy tonight. Let's go.
Start 1, Rice, Ayuk, Monty, Reed, or Smith, Najigba. To me, it's probably Rice. What do you think?
Yeah, this is where the scoring would be helpful. I'm assuming it's half or full PPR because otherwise Monty
would not be terrible if it was not if there was no PPR involved.
No, he's a touchdown machine. He's as good as it gets in standard leagues. But assuming you get some points for receptions and certainly full, I'm going to go Rice here. He's just such a PPR magnet, and I love just getting him in my game tonight. And Monty's the next one. These are all good options. I'm very excited to see what Jaden Reed does, but there's a lot of question marks between how Reed and Smith and Najigba are going to be used in their offenses. So it comes down to Monty or Rice. Ayuk, again, the Jets matchup scares me a bit. I'm going Rice 9 out of 10 times. The only time I'm not is if it's a standard league, and I'm going Monty there. Daniel Paps giving us an LOL. I don't know what he's laughing about, but hey, I'm glad we could bring you a smile, and we're the best. You're the best. Thank you so much for being here.
Should I switch Pittman Jr. for Worthy? We have talked about that. We're both kind of negative when it comes to Pittman, and right now we're really juiced on Worthy because he's about to play right now on opening day. So I think we would both say we probably prefer Worthy, but we acknowledge that maybe we're being a little nuts. I don't know.
I think we are. Like I know Pittman is 100% the play. Like in terms of like floor, you get a bad secondary for the Texans. You got no Josh Downs, and yet you got Cannon Mahomes with the fastest player to ever enter the league. That's great on screens on a Thursday night action, and I am lower on Pittman. Like we talked about, we could have a Richardson 30-point day, and Pittman might have 7 points. It's so hard to say.
We're going Worthy.
Worthy is just the gut here. The head is Pittman, but the heart is Worthy. I'm going Worthy.
All right.
Brothers over everything. I love that name, by the way. Dope name. Brothers over everything. Let's go.
So we got 9 minutes until kickoff, but we only have like 3 questions left. So let's go through. He changed to Worthy. Great advice. Good job. And he also said that he subscribed. So thanks a lot.
Love to see it. That climb towards 4K. Man, anybody else out there? Let's play. We're up to 750 now tonight. You love to see it. That thumbs up button, the likes, the shares, the retweets always help us out so much. And we'd love to make that push to 4K tonight. We'll be back again. We're going to keep answering these questions, but for everyone out there, we'll be back at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. This is our Thursday kickoff show. We always have this. We have your Sunday sit starts at 8 a.m. We go early because I know a lot of people have busy Sunday afternoons. They got to get in and get out, get your questions. It's a great time slot for us too. So we'll be live then. And of course, we got our waiver wire shows, our recap. We got a ton of content here. So if you enjoy what you're hearing tonight, hopefully we get them right for you. But either way, come back to yell at us. Come back to get some more questions answered because we got it right, whatever it is. This is my boy, my college roommate over here, Doyle Murphy. He texted me a great one today because you're looking at Chiefs-Ravens. And every single player out there, Derrick Henry, Mahomes, Xavier Worthy, obviously tonight that we're talking about, Flowers, Andrews, Lamar. And he just goes, it's Rashad Bateman night tonight, baby. Let's go.
Again, we are
what's crazy, though, is my guy, Scott Barrett, one of my favorite analysts out there. They came out with a new stat. It's like average something of separation. It's literally called ASS. And the stat measures how open a receiver gets. And Rashad Bateman was number 3 on the list last year. I really do like Bateman. I think he was crazily number 3 on that list. And I'll tell you, if he's out there in your league, that's another one. I talked about stashing Perine tonight, but I'd rather stash even Bateman, potentially even more, especially if I needed a receiver. I could see him definitely getting open. Shoddy B is an ass, man. There's no doubt about it. He gets his separation. They've talked about him all offseason getting a big role. All right, this is a good one.
This is our last one.
Yeah.
Flowers or Mostert?
So Al Jr., without knowing the settings here, I always assume half. See, this is one I kept saying earlier. We talked about Mostert earlier, Al Jr., where we said, good bet when he's healthy to get a touchdown as anybody. But I'm going Flowers here. I really feel good about Flowers tonight. Just safe and steady. And I know his big games came without Andrews, but I think he showed something I can be your engine. And wouldn't be shocked to see that number 1 target kind of be handed out. And certainly in a game against the Chiefs where you're going to need to throw. Last time he faced the Chiefs, he had 20.9 fantasy points in the playoffs. I'm going Flowers just because if it was the Achane show on Sunday, neither of us would be surprised.
No, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Mostert punched in a touchdown or 2. I'll be honest.
No, not at all. Achane has 90 yards on 8 touches, looks insane, but Mostert has 3 touchdowns. Totally viable.
Do you remember that game? Because I had Mostert last year. You remember that game where Achane, of course you do, went for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, and everyone's like, oh gosh, as a Mostert owner, that probably really sucked. It's nah, he went 120 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they had 70 points against the Broncos. I think it was.
Yeah. That was incredible.
That was a fun one. But yeah, I'm going to go Flowers here as my ultimate decision. What about you, Truth?
I mean, I honestly, to me, this is like a coin flip. I don't feel strongly enough about it to go against you. I see the case for Mostert, definitely, but I
see the case for both, no doubt.
I totally get the Flowers call, so we'll try to go with a unified front.
I will say this, Al Jr., if it's a standard league for whatever reason, you don't get any reception points, then it's easily Mostert. Like, there's not even a question there.
Yeah, Al's coming in at 8:30 with a question, and we'll try to give him a unified response. So we're going to say PPR, Flowers, no standard score, and Mostert. Yeah. Last one, Omar, you need to do a Beat the Wolf follower league at some point. May have to be a 16-teamer with all of us animals.
That would be a blast to get. I know some fans out there definitely have mentioned that. It's just one of those things. As much it would be so fun. I'd love to be in a league with all you guys. I'm already in like 10 leagues. I do however many best ball drafts, which I know there's no management involved. I'm like at this point in my life trying to trim down leagues, not gain more. That all being said, though, like I would love to compete with some of you hardcore guys out there. So I'd have to figure out like what would it take for that to leapfrog some of my other leagues. We could figure that out because it would be so damn fun. I feel like I'd have to be like somehow like not teaching anymore though. If this thing ever blew up to the point where I was like full time or whatever it might be, then there's nothing I would rather do. But like it is Tuesdays already is just like, all right, now I'm on my 7th league, waiver wires. I go to my 8th, and it's just like it's a slog. So adding another one, like I wouldn't want to do this without giving it my full all and like really competing against you guys. And I don't know if I could do that right now with like the way my schedule.
Believe it or not, guys, me and the Wolf aren't even in a league together right now. So I mean, I think that. I think we will be eventually again at some point, but yeah, if we get a super fans league together, we'll both jump in.
Oh yeah, when the time is right, I would love to do this. No doubt, Omar. It'd be so much fun. Well, guys, I think that's wrapping us up here. No more questions in the queue. One last plea on your way out. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button, you liked what you heard, would mean the world. And of course, we'd love to have you subscribe. We'll be live again Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Get those alarms ready. If you're not an early morning person, get the coffee with the Wolf and it's just a great way. We had such a good turnout on those Sunday AM shows. So we'd love to have you. We always get like a couple thousand even and a few 100 questions on those Sunday mornings, which is so fun. So hopefully this year we'll continue that trend. But we'd love to have you push us over 4K tonight. If you can, hit that sub button. We'd love to have you here. You can follow me at Roto Street Wolf and all our content, my rankings, everything else is at rotostreetjournal.com, shop.rotostreetjournal.com if you want some gear to look good for your Sundays. We'd love to have you support the site in that way as well. Thank you guys again so much for being here. In a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be the Wolf. Let's go Xavier Worthy tonight, baby. Let's get some big touchdowns to our guy that we have to. It always happens to. There's always like a guy of the stream, and I knew it would be Xavier Worthy tonight. That's what we titled it. But man, I hope he hits big for you guys tonight. It would make me feel a lot better about starting this season. No doubt about it.
Later, guys.
Later.